Hi, welcome to Education Vision. Today we are going to be talking about Retell lecture. Retell lecture is the fourth component of your speaking exam. And this section is also extremely important as this is giving scores to your listening and to your speaking section as well. In Retell lecture, what we have to do is we have to listen to a lecture, take notes, and then repeat those notes back to the computer, based on which we would be given our score. We have to be also very careful that we don't have to understand the lecture. We have to simply jot down points from the lecture, and as it is, we have to repeat them back to the computer. This is something which is very important, and we would be learning this in our lesson for today. First, let's understand the scoring of your Retell lecture. So let's have a look at the scoring, what Pearson has said. So there are again three components based on which we are given a score for Retell lecture. The first is pronunciation, fluency, and the third is content. Pronunciation, again, the words or the notes that I've taken, how well am I able to pronounce them and take the vowel sounds out of them. We have a separate video on how to pronounce vowel sounds, which has been shared in the lectures. Don't forget to watch that. Fluency, to get a high score for fluency, what we have to remember is that when we are speaking, we're not supposed to take sounds out of hesitation like Those sounds give the computer the impression that you are unaware of speech, and this causes the computer to understand that you're not a native speaker. Content. To get a full score in content, what the scoring guide tells us is retells all points of the presentation and describes characters, aspects, and actions, their relationships, the underlying development, implications, and conclusions. In simple words, the more content we take from the lecture and repeat it back to the computer, the higher score we get. But how are we supposed to be taking that content? We will be learning that shortly. So let's have a look of what Retell lecture is. In the exam, we get 1 or 2 questions. This task is giving 20 marks to listening and 25 to speaking, approximately. The timing, preparation time, 3 seconds, which means that as we come on the interface of the question, in exactly 3 seconds, we start listening to the audio. And the duration of the audio, normally it goes from anywhere between 30 to 90 seconds. After the audio is completed, we have 10 seconds before the recording starts. So in those 10 seconds, we are supposed to look at our notes. We are supposed to rectify our mistakes. And then after those 10 seconds, we start speaking back to the computer. Note taking is mandatory. Let's have a quick look at the interface of the question, how it looks like, so that we all have an idea of what it looks in the exam. So this is the interface of Retell lecture. So you would see it's playing the audio, and in the second box you would see that the timer is running as well. Some questions have an image given, as in this question we can see there is an image given. Some of the questions don't have an image, it's only the audio. But the point to note over here is that when we are listening to the audio, our focus has to be only on taking notes and not on observing what's written inside this box or the information that we can visually see. So after we have seen this interface, let us now discuss a bit more in detail the most important thing, which is note taking. How are we supposed to be taking notes? There are 3 ways how we take notes. The first is keywords, single individual words. The second is phrases. Now the grammatical meaning of phrase versus the meaning of phrase in Retell lecture, it's very different, which I would be explaining. So phrase simply means 2 to 3 words that you take from the audio. And then lastly, sentences. So in Retell lecture, what we have seen and experimented with our team of certified trainers is that if you from the audio take phrases, 15 to 16 phrases from the lecture, and you repeat it in the template which we would be showing you, you are definitely going to get the highest score, not just for speaking but also for listening. So talking about phrases, the first thing is we need 15 to 16 phrases. Now, what is a phrase in itself? A phrase is basically 2 to 3 words that we have taken from the audio. So the length of a phrase is 2 to 3 words. If you take 4, 5, 6 words, that no more is a phrase. If you take one single word, that is not a phrase. So the length definition is 2 to 3 words. Now these 2 to 3 words, they should have a keyword in it. And a keyword is basically a noun or a date. I've given some examples over here, which for your reference we would be looking at them. The first one is going away. Now going away, yes, it is 2 words, but going or away is neither a noun or a date. Therefore, if I have written going away and if I speak it to the computer, I will not receive a score for listening. For speaking, I will receive because I have pronounced 2 words in English properly. When we do Retell lecture, our aim is that we should not just get speaking but also listening score. The next is there are apples. 3 words, and in these 3 words, the word apples is classified as a keyword. So this, there are apples, this is a phrase which if I speak, I will get a full score. The next is in the house. In the house, 3 words, and the word house is a noun. So this is going to be a phrase for Retell lecture. Next, year of 2023. 3 words again, and 2023 is a date. So this is going to be a phrase. And the last one, fast laptop. 2 words, and the word laptop is a noun. So this is also going to be classified as a phrase. I will get my score for it. If we are not taking phrases and we are taking simple words, our listening score will be suffering. So be very careful about this thing. Now let us quickly see how we are supposed to be taking notes and how we are supposed to be speaking those notes eventually. So the first thing is that we always make a cross on our page. You're using your notebooks. You should try to make the cross on the whole page. Don't make a small cross on just one side, because remember, the notes that you're taking, make sure you have written your notes big and make sure there is a gap between your notes so that when you are looking at your notes and speaking back, you don't have any hesitations when you're repeating that information. Because if you do have hesitations when you repeat, again, your speaking, listening score, it gets compromised. So the first step, make a cross. In the first box, as you can see, 1 phrase will only come, and this is our first sentence. In the second box, we have 5 phrases that we would be taking. And then in the third box, which is the third sentence, again 5 phrases. And then the fourth box, again we have 5 phrases over there. So what I'll do is I will play an audio, and with that audio I will take notes, and I would like you to observe how I'm taking notes and then how I would be speaking them in the situation where the exam would be. Remember, as I'm going to be playing the audio, when the audio it plays, your focus should only be on your audio. We do have a lecture video on how to improve your listening skills. If you have problems in listening or note taking, do watch that video. It will be of a lot of help to you. So I'm going to play the audio now, and I will be taking notes.
There is enough luminous matter in the universe to completely light up the night sky, brighter than the surface of the sun. If you add up all the photons spewing out of all of the stars and galaxies and the space in between, there is enough to light up the universe. Yet when we look up at the sky, this is clearly not the case. So, why is the sky dark at night? Many have been thinking about this for a long time. It can be traced as far back as Thomas Digges in the mid-1500s, Johannes Kepler in 1610, and even later by Edmund Halley in the 18th century. And curiously, even Edgar Allan Poe anticipated possible explanations as to why the night sky is dark. But it was not popularized as a paradox until German amateur astronomer Heinrich Wilhelm Olbers began to think about it in the 19th century. It became known, not surprisingly, as Olbers' paradox. Simply stated, Olbers' paradox says that if the universe is infinite and static, then at any given angle from the Earth, the line of sight will end at the surface of a star.
There we are. So we have now completed our notes. And now what we have to do in these notes is, first of all, in the 10 seconds, see that, can I understand my handwriting? Have I written big enough that when I'm speaking, I would not be fumbling in between? That's the first thing what we have to quickly see in those 10 seconds. So the first is enough luminous, that is fine. Night sky, surface sun, space in between, at the sky, sky dark, at night, mid-1500s, in 1610, in 18th century. Possible explanation. This is not a phrase. So what I would do is I would simply cross it out so that I am not speaking this. The 19th century, Olbers' paradox, universe infinite, line off star. So these are all the phrases that I have taken here. And what I would recommend you to do is that when you are taking your notes, as I said, write big. Leave a gap in between your notes so that it's visible to you what you are writing, so that your speaking becomes a lot more easier. Let's have a look now at the template that we would be using to speak this information. So Retell lecture template, the lecture is focusing on and the first phrase. Additionally were mentioned 5 phrases, then similarly 5 phrases were mentioned, and in conclusion 5 phrases were also crucial. So what I'll do is I will speak this with the notes that I've taken. The lecture is focusing on enough luminous. Additionally, night sky, surface sun, space in between, at the sky, sky dark were mentioned. Additionally, at night, mid-1500s, in 1610, in 18th century were also mentioned. In conclusion, the 19th century, Olbers' paradox, universe infinite, line off star were also crucial. So what I've spoken right now is, if you observe, like for the second sentence, I didn't say similarly, night sky, surface sun, space in between, that the sky, sky dark. No. I focused on my clarity here. Similarly, night sky, surface sun, space in between, at the sky, sky dark. So if you see, I'm opening my jaws as well at the same time so that my clarity is not compromised. Remember guys, when you are preparing this, your listening skills should be very sharp, because in Retell lecture, there is no guarantee that you would get a long audio which is slow and you can listen to it nice and easy. So for that, if you feel that you're struggling, please do watch the video, how to improve your listening skills, and always try, when you're practicing Retell lecture, practice at 1.2x or 1.5x speed, which is very fast. Start with 1.0x, but always prepare for the exam with something faster, so that when you go in the exam, you have absolutely no problems at all when you are facing any audio of any kind. You would be prepared for the exam. That's all for now. Thank you so much.